Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to break down the real mechanical truths behind building wealth. If you've ever felt like getting ahead financially is just this endless uphill battle, believe me, you're not alone. But here's the thing. There are actually hidden milestones out there, invisible barriers, that literally rewrite the rules of the game once you cross them. We're going to visualize exactly how this all works.
I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine that feeling when you check your bank account and instead of wincing, you just smile. You know? That moment when you stop sweating over a $3 coffee or wondering if buying decent groceries means you're stuck eating instant noodles for the rest of the week. So what's the magic number that actually makes that mental shift happen? Most financial gurus out there will tell you, oh, you need $1 million to feel wealthy, or that a six-figure salary is the only way out of the rat race. But honestly, they're missing something massive. There is a much smaller milestone that completely transforms your relationship with money.
And that number is $20,000. Okay, let's dive into this. Because this specific threshold, it's a real game changer. It's literally the dividing line between folks who will eventually build significant wealth and those who spend their entire lives trapped in that exhausting paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. And the craziest part is, most people have absolutely no idea this threshold even exists.
To really understand why this number is so pivotal, we first have to look at Section 1, the wealth-building tipping point.
Think about trying to shove a massive, heavy boulder up a ridiculously steep hill. Getting it started is just agonizing, right? You're straining, you're sweating, you're fighting for every single millimeter of progress, and you're constantly questioning whether it's even possible to reach the top. Starting your wealth-building journey from zero feels exactly like this. It's a pure uphill battle against gravity. But hitting $20,000, that is the turning point where your financial boulder finally crests the hill. Everything before 20K is friction. But everything after, that's when momentum takes over. Gravity finally works in your favor, and that rock starts rolling down the other side almost effortlessly.
But the difference isn't just mathematical. The most profound changes actually happen right inside your own brain, which brings us to Section 2, escaping financial survival mode.
Now, what's really interesting about this Vanguard study data is that first bar. Just having $2,000 in emergency savings, which, let's be real, is less than a fancy laptop these days, increases your financial well-being by a staggering 21%. That little buffer creates the initial mental shift. But when you push that emergency fund up to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which lands right around that $20,000 mark for most of us, you unlock another 13% boost. You've essentially bought yourself massive, life-changing breathing room.
Without that cushion, your brain is stuck in pure survival mode. Every single decision you make is filtered through fear and scarcity. You take a terrible job just because you can't afford to be picky. You stay in bad situations because leaving feels way too risky. You're constantly reacting to immediate threats. It's kind of like trying to plan a relaxing vacation while your house is actively on fire. But at $20,000, your brain suddenly has the bandwidth to transition into a growth mindset. Instead of panicking and asking, how do I survive until Friday, you start proactively asking, okay, how can I grow this money?
Once you've got that psychological foundation locked in, let's shift gears to Section 3, the math of momentum. Because this is where the math starts doing something incredible.
Just take a look at this shrinking timeline. Let's say you're saving $1,000 every single month and earning an 8% return. Getting that first $20,000, that's a heavy lift. It takes about 19 months of fierce discipline and delayed gratification. But your second $20,000? It doesn't take another 19 months, it only takes 17 months. You did the exact same work, but you shaved 2 full months off the timeline because your first 20K is now working right alongside you. And fast forward to when you have a $400,000 net worth, your next $20,000 generates in just 5 months. It's wild, it happens almost automatically.
You know, people often think the wealthy have access to these secret hedge funds or exclusive investment clubs, but the truth is way simpler. It's literally just basic math working at scale. A 10% return on $2,000 is $200. I mean, it's nice, but it doesn't change your life. But apply that exact same 10% return to $20,000, and suddenly you've got $2,000 in profit. You're using the exact same index funds, the same brokerages, but the scale makes the returns finally feel deeply meaningful.
To put a really fine point on it, $20,000 invested at a standard 8% annual return yields $1,600 over the course of a year. That is $1,600 flowing directly into your net worth without you lifting a single finger. It's just money that showed up simply because your existing money went to work on your behalf.
Now that we've covered the math, let's move to the practical application of this leverage in your daily life.
Section 4. Unlocking Career Superpowers.
So the crucial point here is this concept: walking away money. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, your boss literally holds all the cards. You can't negotiate, you can't push back, and honestly, everyone in the room knows it. But $20,000 completely flips the dynamic. You now hold the ultimate negotiating tool. Think about it. You could walk in, quit tomorrow, and survive for months while you find something way better.
And just having that safety net unlocks an entirely new set of career behaviors. You start asking for the raise you deserve, because hey, the worst they can say is no, and you'll be fine either way. You push back on unreasonable requests. You explore new opportunities completely risk-free. And here's the real secret superpower: you don't even have to spend the money. Just knowing it's sitting there gives you this natural confidence. Your bosses notice, you start getting better assignments, and you end up creating this massive positive feedback loop of career success.
This newfound confidence bleeds into your daily choices too, fundamentally shifting your identity. When you're broke, you obsess over micro-decisions. You're doing mental gymnastics over a $3 coffee or debating whether to buy the generic cereal. It totally drains your mental energy. But once you hit the 20K mark, you realize that sweating a coffee might save you a couple bucks, but it's not going to make or break your future. Instead, you reallocate all that freed up brain space to macro decisions, optimizing your housing costs, maximizing your income, refining your investment strategy. You stop reacting to pennies and start strategically directing tens of thousands of dollars.
But reaching this milestone brings a massive temptation, which brings us to our final point, Section 5, avoiding the spending trap.
The trap goes exactly like this. You hit the $20,000 mark, you feel that incredible psychological relief we've been talking about, and you think to yourself, man, I've earned a reward. So you immediately blow it. You take an insanely expensive vacation, or you drop it on a down payment for a house that makes you totally house poor. Listen to me carefully here. This $20,000 is not a reward to be spent. It is the absolute foundation of your future. It is a seed that is meant to grow into generational wealth.
And looking at the real cost of those temptations brilliantly illustrates this trap. Let's take the classic emotional purchase, a brand new car. The literal second you drive a $30,000 new car off the lot, it loses 20% of its value. You aren't just spending money, you are actively destroying your wealth. Now compare that to investing that same $30,000. Over 20 years, with the magic of compound interest, that investment can grow to over $200,000. Suddenly, driving a reliable older car doesn't feel like a sacrifice at all. It's a highly strategic decision that funds your future. You really start to filter every single purchase through the lens of opportunity cost.
So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on today. Look at the decisions in front of you and ask yourself, is your next major purchase keeping you poor, or is it funding your future freedom? Reaching that $20,000 tipping point fundamentally shifts you from merely reacting to whatever life throws at you to intentionally designing the life you actually want to live. Start building that foundation today. I promise you, your future self is counting on it.